It was just this venue where all sorts of great music happened. And it was partly the times, it was partly the people who booked it. It was what it was.
The pulse of it all back then was rock and roll. And we had the best shows in town.
I mean, it was one of the old-fashioned Rounders bars where, you know, very bad people met with very good people over a drink, you know.
The Neon Palms was a tremendous place to be for musicians. And in fact, a lot of our very best musicians from our town were working regular 2-week stints there.
Under the Neon Palms, we all heard that, you know, and and when I came to Toronto, when I moved here, it was one of the first places that I went to.
When I was a kid, 16, 17, I'd be like, you know, drive around in my car and I'd have the classic rock station on, and they would have commercials. They had this catchphrase or slogan they would have, tonight, you know, under the Neon Palms, the Paul James Band, or tonight under the Neon Palms, you know, David Wilcox, right? So I was like, wow, what is that? What is under the Neon Palms, right? And I learned that it was the El Mocambo.
The Elmo was just the best place. It was the best place to meet women. It was the best place to have a party. It was the best place for everything.
Clubs will come and go, but there'll never be anything to compare with this one.
The Elmo stood out because it was really musician friendly and it was people friendly.
People were really glad to have a place they could go to hear this wonderful music.
But we used to have lineups that would go around the block. And I used to have to count down them and say, you won't get in, you know, you might as well go home.
American pop music has black roots, always has. And Toronto was always, traditionally from the days of the Underground Railroad onwards, hospitable to black artists.
It had been rumored that the Stones would play the El Mocambo. So people were prepared. And so some of us went in the press, some of us went and left. A couple of reporters actually left, they didn't think it was going to happen.
And I'm running up the stairs, and who's beside me but Mick Jagger. And I looked at him and I go, you know, you're blowing my mind. And he runs back down the stairs. So I had to go back down the stairs and assure him that I was okay and the place was okay. But he was a scared rabbit. And that was the first time that they ever came here. I come back from the wine store and I could hear him upstairs. And I looked down the stairs here and I went, strange. Sounds like the Rolling Stones. And they're doing a sound check. So I looked at the alley. The door was wide open. Anybody could have walked in. And I looked up the stairs and I shut the door. And later that night, it almost got ripped off the hinges. And the front door almost got ripped off the hinges too. And then the Prime Minister's wife shows up.
I wrote my story for the paper, I think, for the next day's paper, which would have been the Saturday paper. And at which point I mentioned Margaret Trudeau was there and so forth. On Monday morning when I went to my office, I got a phone call about 11 o'clock. And a very nice woman said, would you please hold the phone? Mr. Jagger's phoning you. And Mick Jagger gets on the line and gives me proper hell for suggesting, and I don't think I did, but other people did, that perhaps he had spent the evening with Margaret Trudeau.
But I was playing at the El Mocambo myself, upstairs. under my own steam, which was cool, you know, because I'm upstairs at the Alamo now, coming up in the world. And Bob Dylan was coming to see me play, you know, so like, we didn't know if he was going to sit in, but I think too many people got notice that he was there. So anyway, he came upstairs and he had brought his daughter with him, Anna, and we sat and played my guitar and passed it back and forth and talked about songwriting. And I said, well, for every 20 I write, you know, maybe a one good keeper. He said, that's about right. Bo Diddley, I played there like many times, like a week at a time. I think Danny played one night with Bo, just so you know.
We got there in the afternoon, and we were all set up, and we were ready to go, and we were goofing around. And I was doing, maybe you've heard of Johnny Cash, right? You know Johnny Cash? So I was making fun of Bo Diddley, and I was going, well, Bo Diddley, have you heard? Baby's gonna buy me a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird don't sing, she's gonna buy me a diamond ring. And if that diamond ring don't shine, she's gonna take it to the private eye. I said, hey, Bo Diddley. And we're laughing like that. Johnny Cash doing Bo Diddley. That's funny. And from the back of the room, oh my God, we looked, and there was a reflection off these pop bottle glasses. Oh my God, Bo Diddley was in the room. Bo Diddley was in the room. Well, he walked up to the stage. I can see we're gonna have some fun tonight. And he unpacked his guitar, and he wanted to play the drums. Well, I was so excited to play with Bo Diddley. So the first thing that I did, once we started to do our sound check, I started to do this. I was just hammering away at the Bo Diddley beat. He said, what? He said, what are you doing? I said, Bo, I'm doing the Bo Diddley beat. You know? He said, don't do that. I said, oh, okay, all right. Why should I do that? I mean, we had Bo Diddley to do that. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do? So he started in. He started playing it, so I started to go, you know, in between. He said, whoa, he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm playing an E7, Bo. He said, don't do that. I said, okay, Bo, I won't do that. E7, and I realized, well, sure, there's no E7 chords. So that night at the show, we were playing away. Bo started to play like that, and I thought, yeah, so I joined in. And Bo looked at me, what are you doing? And I went, harmony. And Bo went, yeah. And that was how I finally broke through to Bo Diddley, and we had a great night together.
The Alma Combo has gone through probably 3 phases. There was everything leading up to the Rolling Stones. There was the Rolling Stones and everything declining from the Rolling Stones on. I mean, the Alma Combo fell apart much faster than it should have.
It's sad to say, but you know, if you kick enough people out, they won't come back, and their buddies won't come back.
And there was something called Bullwinkles for a while. It changed its name. They took down the Neon Palms, and it sort of became virtually invisible. No one really knew about it anymore.
And it said, Bullwinkles. Bullwinkles. And I went to the door, and I let myself in, and I said, who's the manager? And he goes, I'll get him. So the guy comes down, and I got him by his shirt like this, and I'm going, what the hell are you doing in here, man? Because they took all the things off the walls, and the guy said, well, we had to do something because nobody comes here anymore.
He turned the top floor into a dance studio. Gotta be, did you ever go up there when it was a dance studio? Oh, it was sort of Indian tat. It was mirrors and gilt and turquoise paint, and he built a whole wall up one side which didn't even, there were mirrors everywhere. It was a horror show.
The uproar within the musical community about him buying it and turning it into a dance studio created anarchy within the local music world. Gabas got swayed by the tide and actually decided that, okay, if it meant this much to everybody, then he would open a music club. And that's how it started coming back to life, was by him agreeing to put in music downstairs. And he would maintain the upstairs as his dance club. But the musicians kind of took sides, and a lot of them decided that they were going to not support it or boycott it.
Plans are to have this place back on the map as one of the premier music rooms in the city. It hasn't been for the past few years, unfortunately, but with our renovation plans and our vision for it, we plan to get it back on the map and have some great touring bands come through here.
It's a very delicate thing of what we're doing, because we're taking something that's existed before and was top of the game and is loved. The memories of this place are loved, and we're putting our take on what it should be into it.
So this is the room where most of the legendary bands have played in the past. And the stage used to be up against that exposed concrete portion of the wall there. We're going to put the stage back there. And, so what we're going to do here is we're going to create an elevated seating area along the back wall, all old school red leather banquettes similar to downstairs. They're going to be elevated so you can see over the crowd. You're going to have a stage right over there. You will have a very cool bar component, which is going to be connected to the stage, almost the same height, and it's going to run along this entire wall. So the rooftop is going to be cool. This is the rooftop, and it's done. We're going to just leave it like that. I think it's the less is more look. I think everyone's going to migrate up here, and it'll create a cool little social scene. One of the things I love about Chinatown, about Spadina, is your neighbors. You've got all these quirky rooftops, and there's it's just a very cool rock and roll environment. Like it's sort of like a back alley kind of feel. And we'll have an indoor component, maybe a bar up here. So in the summertime we can hang out. In the wintertime you can hang out inside. And we will have heating and air conditioning, which this place has had none of for the last 12 or 15 years, which is crazy. This venue is special. And from day one, walking out and waiting outside while they were coming to unlock the doors and standing under those neon palms, we said, we've got to fix this place up and bring it back to its glory rock and roll days.
I'm not sure you can bring it back to what it used to be like, because the music's changed and the audience has changed.
Just at one time in this city and in this country, it was the club to play, period. And it saw everybody passing through the town, and everything happened. But that was like 30 years ago. Now, if you can somehow make commerce out of that, you have my blessing, but it's going to be very difficult.
Pretty well have to fill up 2 floors every night, twice a night.
They've got 2 400-seat rooms, not finally finished yet. And there are other promoters who have locked up most of the artists. It's pretty damn hard to book 1 room 6 days a week. 2, very difficult.
Maybe they're talking about you can't fill that venue every night with a rock crowd or one specific type of genre of music. And you know what, they're probably right. But if you target a lot of different types of genres of music, then you're hitting different demographics, and it should work.
The thing that made the Elmo work in the past was not its adherence necessarily to good old rock and roll, however you define that, but the fact that it seemed to be a neutral space where you could put almost any kind of music.
When I say different genres, I'm talking about R&B, soul, rock, reggae, folk, country, new country, country western, rockabilly. I got to go back to my initial thoughts of when I think about the Elmo Combo. I think about rock, I think about rock and roll, I think about punk. Think about those genres of music that worked back then. Hopefully they will work now, and I think we proved that this past Saturday.
Well, every night I see the light up in your window. Every day you won't answer your door. But although you won't ever let me in from the street, I see a silhouette sitting close to you. What can I do? What can I say to get you to talk to me until the night is over? That's all I really need, baby. Talk to me. Yeah,
I think everybody was thrilled to be in a club that people wanted to come to and bands wanted to come and play. Whether or not it was a good club or a bad club didn't really matter. Once it got a reputation of being a good club, then it became a scene for all the international acts.
Late at night, I hear the music that you're playing.
Oh, it was amazing. It was just, energy was amazing. The bands were just killer. The crowd was like digging it. And it was just, you know, it was everything I wanted it to be and then some. And that gives a place life, and, you know, it makes it breathe, and it puts money in the cash register. I'm gonna make sure it's busy every weekend, you know, with whether it's bands, events, private parties, upstairs, downstairs, food component, daytime business. So I wouldn't have put down the down payment if I wasn't 100% sure that I would be able to make this place work.
Talk to me. Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's almost hard to think about what happened here, because I believe I was the only one who knew what was going on when it was happening. I wish he'd been there.
You're up there with him. What can I do? What can I say? What must I pay? I'll get you to talk to me till the night is over. Talk to me. Well, it's till the night is over. I got a full week's pay. I've been working hard these days, and I'm not asking for to where to see tonight. But down on my bended knees, just asking, darling, please. Baby, please. I'm down on my knees, sweating for you, baby, waiting for you, baby, talking to you, darling, wondering where you are, where you are. I just want you to talk to me, talk to me, baby, talk just to me, darling, talk to me,